Me anyway. Okay. Let me turn my alarm off 1 second. Hi, everyone. This is Michelle Wedderburn and with Tracy Collins and Dr. G. This is our first live, correct?
Yeah.
On Move to Mexico conference, which is happening November 1st through the 3rd. We are super excited to start talking about all the things that will be happening then on this particular channel. So I hope that you will continue to tune in. Please hit the subscribe button. Make sure you like. Make sure you share this with everyone that has even a slightest interest in moving to Mexico. The conference is going to be chock full of so much information that you can get from the comfort of your home. So we're going to be talking about that. You know, anyone who may be considering doing a scouting trip, this is a great place for you to start. I am located in San Miguel de Allende in Mexico. I have lived here for over 6 years. I absolutely love living in Mexico. We are all three of us live in Mexico. So we want to continue to share the inspiration that Mexico has given us. We all have found so many interesting things and passions since moving here, and we just kind of want to keep sharing our expertise, our experiences, our knowledge with everyone, and that's what this conference is all about. So please join us, and again, we're excited for you to be here tonight at this particular channel. I also have my own channel, but I am the founder of Casa Elm, which is located in San Miguel. It's a guest house space, and we offer relocation tours and a lot of other cool experiences. So you can check that out when you have time. And I will go ahead and introduce Tracy Collins, my co-host of Move to Mexico Conference, and then she will go into introducing Dr. G.
Yay. So thank you
Yay.
so much. Thank you,
Yes.
Michelle.
Thank you.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Tracy Collins, and I too have a YouTube channel where I focus on business, wellness, and my life here in Mexico. I've lived in Mexico. I've made my 1 year mark on August 19th. So we have officially been here in Mexico for 1 year. However, we were traveling in and out of the country since 2022. We were fortunate to be able to travel throughout 8 different cities. 9 make San Miguel de Allende, where we settled, and we live here in San Miguel. And I am going to introduce Dr. G. And Dr. G and I actually have a personal connection. She did our residency renewal when we landed in August of last year, and she was excellent and easy to work with. So I'm excited that we are coming here for the Move to Mexico conference, and we will be showcasing and highlighting a few of our speakers, and we're kicking it off with Dr. G. Thank you so much for being here.
Yes, thank
Thank
you.
you all for having me here. I'm so excited to have, a person that I've actually worked with and helped through the process to bring me on board and to be able to share my expertise. So what I do, I am based in Mexico City. I've been in Mexico City almost 5 years, but I have been coming back and forth to Mexico for 25 years since I studied here in college. I have a lot of experience with various parts of Mexico. My parents are also residents. They live in northern Mexico in Puerto Peñasco on the water, which is right south of Arizona. And then I settled in Mexico City because I'm a big city girl, but I also have my heart is in Cuernavaca, where I first studied abroad. So I have quite the experience, and I've got, little homes all around Mexico that I have, where that has a piece of my heart. But on that note, Mexico is a very diverse country, and you have a variety of choices of where you can live based on, your personal priorities, your budget, your interests, you know, um, just what you really want to gain out of living in Mexico. And so some of those things, a lot of people talk about the number one question a lot that at the front of people's heads when they're making it a move anywhere really is like, what's this going to cost me? What's the cost of living like? And that varies greatly depending on where you're living. Like I live in Mexico City again for the 100th time. I think I've said that already, but I live in Mexico City, and here it's the seventh largest city in the world. So you've got a very cosmopolitan city. Whereas if you were to move somewhere, I don't know, say like Puerto Vallarta or another maybe more touristy on the beach area, your cost of living is going to depend on like your proximity to the beach or your proximity to centralized services. Um, or you can live somewhere a little bit more remote and be, very dive deep into like the Pueblo living of Mexico, not to be confused with the city state of Puebla, but living in a Pueblo, like a smaller town, getting a little bit more. I don't want to say that any other experience is unauthentic, but an authentic experience where, you're maybe one of the only foreigners, etc. And that, that's going to be different as well. So that's something that people, when they come to me and they're like, I want to move, I want to relocate, what's your cost of living? What are some things that um, are paying for on a regular basis? And I kind of give that little spiel on it's really going to depend on, your way of life. And, like I don't own a car in Mexico City. I don't need to. Sometimes I would like to, but I don't need to, things like that. But after you think about, why are you moving to Mexico, and or why you want to move to Mexico, and what does Mexico have to offer you, and why are you making these changes? Um, you then have to make sure that you can actually live here legally, right? That's that's the biggest part. A lot of people are like, I'm going to move to Mexico, but then don't take into consideration that you need to actually be a resident to live here legally. A lot of people do the tourist 180 days, come back, do border runs sort of things, but that's gotten harder to do over the years. You're never guaranteed the 180 days, and so it's always really important, and just to respect the country too. That's something that if you're going to be moving to a country and you really want to put down roots, it's to respect the country, do the right thing, do the legal thing by getting your residency, and also it just makes your life a lot easier because you have access to things that you wouldn't have otherwise in regards to banking systems. And a lot of landlords want you to have residency in order to rent to you. If you want to say open a business, or there's just a lot of reasons that getting the residency is beneficial on top of just being the right thing to do. So in regards to what I do and what I'm going to be talking about at the actual conference is a lot of the residency process. So, the residency process, it starts outside of Mexico. You have to qualify financially, and you then finish your first process, the first half of the process outside of Mexico at a Mexican consulate, or a Mexican embassy, depending on where you are. Like if you're British, for example, and you're living in the UK, you would actually go to the Mexican embassy in London. But if you're American, you would go to a consulate. And there's a variety of different consulates that you can choose from. Some are stricter than others in regards to like the requirements. Um, Not financial requirements, but requirements in regards to paperwork, like what paperwork you must have, is actually different for every single consulate. So I get a lot of people that ask me questions. So like, what do I need to take to the consulate? I'm like, contact the consulate. I'm not trying to be standoffish or unhelpful, but it would be, I'm doing you a disservice if I try to give you a blanket statement of what the consulate requires, because each consulate has their own requirements. Every year, and this is another thing, every year the qualifications go up. The economic solvency requirements go up. They're based on Mexican minimum wage. And so I have seen a significant change since I started doing this work. I mean, we're talking from $1,200 a month at the lowest consulate in monthly income to it's now 4,500 US dollars per month or equivalent in order to get approved for residency.
I
So
have a
that's a,
question about
yeah,
that
absolutely.
since you're on it. I mean, I know the minimum wage is kind of the underlying factor, but are people making more on the Mexican side? Are they at that minimum wage number, or is this just kind of, what is that like factored on?
Are Mexicans making more, you mean? I mean, yeah,
The
so
minimum wage?
the minimum wage had to be, yeah, the minimum wage has been upped. So the Mexicans are having, well, supposed to be. I don't know if it's actually happening, but I mean, by law, the minimum wage was increased, so they should be making they should be making that minimum wage.
Is that for corporations? Like,
For
like,
it's
how do they check who's paying that amount?
That's
You may not know,
that's a
I'm
great
just
question.
curious.
Yeah, that's a
Okay,
great question that I actually want to go look up the answer to.
okay.
I mean, probably my educated guess would be that it wouldn't be someone checking, it would be more the opposite of an employee reporting, if that makes any sense.
It does.
So I mean, and I would think it would be, like the SAT office, the tax office, or the what's the name of that other office related to financial stuff. But yeah. But they should, I mean, if they, the legal minimum wage, just like in the States, the legal minimum wage is federal, there's a federal and there's a state minimum wage, which
Right.
and the minimum wage difference, it's based on the minimum wage in Mexico City, because the minimum wage in border towns up next to the US is actually different, but it's
Okay.
based on the Mexico City's daily minimum wage.
Can you
Um,
briefly, can you
yeah.
briefly share about your WhatsApp group?
Oh yeah.
I think it's essential because I actually refer my clients to the WhatsApp group because that was essential for me getting a lot of questions answered in real time during the first part of the residency process. By the time I got
Absolutely.
to the second part, I was pretty good. But because of the varying information and the appointment process,
Mm-hmm.
it makes it hard to understand how to do what. So can you share with people what the name of the group is, how they can access it? And I still have it in there. Oh my gosh, but it's really grown.
It
I'm
has
gonna
grown
type it in while you tell me.
exponentially. Um, so, and I can send the link to actually join the group. We're almost maxed out. So the group is called All Things MX Residency.
Okay, all things MX residency. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And the
And
number,
um the number,
the
my
WhatsApp number,
like my phone number.
or the WhatsApp group number, or
I
do
don't know
you?
what that is,
Okay.
but I can send you the link.
I think
Okay,
they
do you
type
want to
in,
check
oh yeah, they can
Yeah.
find it when they type in the all things it
that?
makes.
Oh, okay.
Can they
Yeah, or
find it?
here, let me send you I can send you the link right now. But and I'll talk about it while we're doing that. So,
Okay.
I started the group. We won't get into why I started the group, but there was a need for it. I was answering questions in some other groups, and someone said, "Would you, can you start a group where you're the person answering all these questions?" Because people were just kind of answering questions, and it wasn't always necessarily accurate information or people that knew like the actual procedures or the laws or the rules. And so I started the group, and then it just grew and grew and grew. And I started in December of 2021, and I now have 921 people in it.
Wow.
But
Wow.
yeah, it's pretty cool. The purpose of it is it's just to ask and answer questions related to anything to do with the residency process. And, I have 4 admin in there. We try to be pretty strict about, about things getting off topic. Like, people asking about where can I find, I don't know, like, where can I find an apartment in this city? Like, it's not about that. It is nationwide, so I have people all over the country, asking questions. So I focus on Mexico City. I have a facilitator in that group from the Costa Alegre area. So like Manzanillo or Manzanilla. I always get them confused. And
Manzanilla, I think it is.
yeah, she's gonna get confused. She's gonna yell at me if she sees this. You should know that by now. Colima. I actually have a facilitator who works out of Puerto Vallarta, Nuevo Vallarta, and Guadalajara that actually used to be a former immigration agent at INM. She used to be a former director. I have an immigration attorney lawyer from Merida in there. Mariana from the Mexico Relocation Guide is in there. So between us, we're able to give, a educated information about general things that are happening within the country. The immigration office procedures, what we see regularly at our different offices, and then the consulate questions, that's where like the community really chimes in, right? That's where the community is like, someone hops in, they're like, hi, I have an appointment at the DC consulate next week. Has anyone been there within, recently? Or, hi, I live in this country. I want to apply, or my bank account is in this country, but I'm currently in this country. Has anyone ever used the embassy in Bogota? Or, and if so, what did they require? And you can get, sometimes you don't get an answer. Sometimes, it's just crickets. But sometimes you get someone that was like, I was just there last week. This was my personal experience. And you can get some real time information because even though the consulates do
Sorry,
give
guys.
you, no, you're okay. The consulates do give you the information on their website, or if you email them, they'll email you like a general, just kind of a form letter. They don't always include everything that they end up asking for at the appointment. And that's why I try to stay away from the consulate end of things when people ask me questions. I'm like, okay, I can give you a general idea, but really, and ask that, be very specific about asking them questions and being very clear about your financial situation too. Like if you're self-employed, some consulates won't take you if you're self-employed. They really want to see that you've got a W-2 or, pay stubs or a letter from an employer. Others are more than happy to take you if you're self-employed, as long as you can show that, you've got X amount of dollars coming in every month. Some are really strict about checking to make sure that it's after taxes. Some are a little bit more flexible. So that's why it's really important to make sure that you're communicating very clearly with the consulates, because you can, and people have traveled. I had a clients go from Philadelphia to El Paso for an appointment, and partially so that they could get permanent right away. This is a few years ago when permanent was easier to get straight out of the chute. And they changed the rule like 2 weeks before, and they already had their ticket. So the husband got permanent, the wife got temporary, which is, it's fine, but it's a disappointment. But these things also change rapidly. That's why it's nice to have this group where people can ask these questions and someone can be like, this was my experience, or this is who I talked to, or, oh, hey, I have the email of the person that I worked with directly, because a lot of times you just get these form emails back. And so it's really nice to have that. So there's my WhatsApp group, and there's also a Facebook group that I admin called Getting Mexican Residency.
Okay, I'm gonna put that here too.
Yeah, it's also a great group, and it has facilitators from all over the country. It has 23,000 members. So, you can get even more information, but it can be a little bit overwhelming. My group, is a little bit more community oriented, but people also really great information out of that Facebook group as well. Um, a lot of great questions, a lot of great, data points. And because you have facilitators from all over the country and, engaged in that group as well, you can get information on like what's happening with regularization, how long are appointments taking? Do I need a proof of address to do my renewal? These little things that you don't really you don't think about or you don't know until you see someone mention them. You don't know what you don't know. So um that's what I do. I guide people in a very general sense on the consulate end. Like these are the things that you want to look for. These are some questions that you want to ask. But our heavy lifting is on the Mexican side, and we are focused on Mexico City. My agency is Mexico City only right now. We used to serve a few other cities, but that's kind of fizzled out.
But you do guide people if they are going to other cities, you can guide them through the
Yeah,
process, correct? Okay.
yeah. Yeah, we can do digital. Yeah, we can do it digitally, generate the paperwork, etc. But with the um, like the caveat of, listen, I'm giving you what I know is required by law according to the immigration website, and based on, experience of my last client that went to this office, but that does not mean that things have changed and or haven't changed and I can only take this with a grain of salt. I'm doing everything that I know in my professional capacity, but you may get there and have some surprise, like they may ask you for X or they may ask you for Y or Z or whatever. So those are just some of the things, like the famous the only consistency in Mexico is inconsistency. Like
Inconsistency, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yes, AKA.
yeah.
I do think, well, first of all, I want to say thank you so much because every
Absolutely.
time I talk to you, I always learn something new. You've done a few of my backup calls and Zooms for people that were here. And I always just feel like you're such a wealth of information and happily so in terms of just being up to date. The consulate side, just kind of knowing like where people can go.
Yeah.
In April when I had my tour, I had someone who did the immigration, but also needed to know a little more about the consulate side because they had some challenges going to one of the offices in the US. And, we set up a Zoom call with you and it was just so helpful. So I just want to say thank you for that.
Very welcome.
You guys, like seriously, whoever's watching this, whether it's tonight or in the future and you're planning to move here, that it's well worth hiring her for her insight and information and help because I always learn something new from you, always.
I feel like I learn something new every time I open my mouth.
Well, we're like getting the drops from your
Yeah.
conversation. Yeah.
But yeah, partially the former teacher in me. People are like, you explained that really well. I'm like, I honestly think it's partially just the former, I was a high
Probably.
school Spanish teacher and just my passion and love for Mexico and the country and, wanting people that are coming here to love it as much as I do and treat it the way that I want it to be treated. And, it's, yeah. So,
So
thank
what
you
has
though. I
been
love,
sorry, go ahead.
no, no, no. I was just to say thank you for, giving me the opportunity to share those experiences and my knowledge and
Absolutely.
time.
Absolutely. What has been like, give us a little like 2 cents worth of life for you in Mexico City.
I mean, it's funny. My neighborhood, a lot of people have never heard of it. It's kind of this little corner, very green, very residential, but it's very community oriented. And I call it Mayberry. If you're old enough to remember Mayberry, I call it Mayberry, right? I call it Mayberry. And then across the street from my house, there's a coffee shop that I call Cheers. Like everybody knows everybody. And they actually, for their 6th anniversary, they did a series of photos of all of their regulars and they turned it into a mural and
Oh,
it's now we're all on the wall.
I love
But
that.
I will say that moving to Mexico for me, I mean, so when I studied abroad in Mexico, what I fell in love with was my host family and the culture. And they just, I'm some
Mhm.
stranger. They taken this 20-year-old and, they're like, we're responsible for her. And they just, they fell in love with me. I fell in love with them. And to this day, I go to Cuernavaca and I stay at Mama's house and, um, but for me, it's a lot of the community aspect. I mean, it's just the community aspect. I love the Spanish language too, but I will give you I'm going to give you guys a pretty personal, well, not a personal story of what happened. So we have at the cafe, I mean, there's just a crew. There are regulars. Everybody knows each other. Everybody knows my dog. I mean, my dog knows everybody. She gets so excited. And there was one of the regulars, who was in a serious bike accident.
Mhm.
And I have never seen, actually, I might get a little emotional. I have never seen people come together for someone that they, even like neighbors, because, he was British. People knew him. Like he was this bald British guy that always wore the same exact hat. He was often on his bike. It was a bike accident. And, the entire neighborhood was like, how's he doing? How's he
Mhm.
doing? And it was just, I say to like be adopted by a Mexican family or a Mexican community is better than winning the lottery. I mean, you don't get people that are more dedicated to caring for others and being
Mhm.
genuine and watching out for your next door neighbor. And then I feel like I get living here.
I agree, 100%.
So, I mean, I don't know what it's
100%.
like in some other cities, you know what I mean? But like, and I don't really hang out with or spend a lot of time in like the expat events or foreign events. I do
Mhm.
run a dog shelter walk, not as regularly anymore as I used to, but like, and you get a lot of foreigners to that. And I've met a lot of my foreign friends through that. And it's a great way to meet
Mhm.
people. And I'm involved with the organization Internations. But I truly won the lottery with this little neighborhood that I'm in, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
So you're never leaving.
They are going to have to pull me out of here. Like,
Don't
yes.
tell them to leave you alone.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I think we all that live here can relate
Yeah.
to that sense of care, from other humans. And I think that that is one of the attractions. Maybe we don't realize it at first because we're so focused on the cost of living. But in the end, I consider it the frosting on top of the cake, the cherry on top of the frosting. It really is, to me, one of the finest interactions I've had in my
Mm-hmm.
entire adult life. I
Absolutely.
feel the same. I love living in San Miguel, and it is a lot of what you described. Can't say all of Mexico is this way,
Right.
but I can say a lot of the culture is this way. And I
Right.
think that in a lot of places you will get that that kind of care and
Yeah.
attention. I just feel, I always say, I feel very human living in Mexico. Like I'm more in
Yeah.
touch with my humanity
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. And you do definitely also, if you put in, you're gonna get back. Like if
Absolutely.
if you're engaging with your neighbors, if you're um trying to assimilate into the culture, if you not to be intimidated to try and do it, because I promise you Mexico will pay you back 100-fold.
Yeah.
I agree. I've
Yeah.
seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
So
Call us our town Smurfville.
Smurfville. I
We're
like that
just
one
like a
too.
lot of little blue people running around. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we got Mayberry.
Yeah.
Oh, so cute. Smurfville. I love it. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank
So
you. I want to say really
absolutely.
welcome to Monica. She just popped up on the chat and she
you.
said
Oh,
that I currently live in Mazatlan.
Okay.
oh,
Welcome.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be
Yeah.
Nice.
good.
I loved Mazatlan. I went to Mazatlan for the first time a year and a half ago, and I loved it a lot more than I expected. I guess I had zero expectations of it, and so I
Hmm.
went and I was like, I really like this town. I
Me
really like it
too.
a lot. Yeah.
Me too.
A
It's a
lot
nice
of people
mix.
like it.
Yeah.
It's kind of a surprise experience. I had low expectations as well, but I actually really I liked that it wasn't so perfect
Mm-hmm.
and that it's kind of up and coming. It has a lot of potential.
Yeah.
But then it had like this sense of cool, like this grungy cool to me. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know what it is, but I loved it. And then all of the areas along the water where you can literally just do beachside, eat
Right.
beachside, hang out beachside. Yeah,
Yep.
it's a great town.
Yep. I really enjoyed Mazatlan.
Me
Well,
too.
welcome Monica from Mazatlan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Thanks,
Yeah.
Monica. Make sure you hit like and subscribe to
Yes,
our
please.
very new but informative channel.
Right.
Yes.
And
And
share with
lots,
everyone.
lots
Yes,
of
please.
great info it's going to come out of this conference. I guarantee it. So,
Absolutely.
We're
yeah.
excited about it. Thank you so
Anything
much,
else?
Dr. G.
You're so
Yes.
welcome.
Thank
Really
Thank
you.
you
appreciate it.
guys. Thank you ladies for having me here. So fun seeing
Absolutely.
you.
Likewise. Likewise.
And everybody, make sure you like, share, and subscribe as well. And the information for the conference that is happening November 1st through the 3rd, if you're watching this in the future, 2024. And the ticket link to find out more information about the conference itself and to secure your space is linked in the description of this video. Any last words before we close out? Don't want to give everybody too much because you'll be speaking at the conference.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would just say, with my personal experience, if you're thinking about doing it, it's never too early to start. It really is never too early to start, and if you are thinking about just getting residency for the sake of getting residency, just do it because you never know what might change in the future too. Um, what requirements might change, what laws might change. There's a new president starting October 1st, and it's just it never hurts. And Mexico is a beautiful place to be.
Yes.
It really is. There's so many options, and if you don't know about them, I think it's worth exploring starting on November 1st through
Yes,
With
the
that.
3rd.
absolutely.
And with
Yes.
that, hit that link I just dropped in the chat. Yes.
All right.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you, ladies. You guys have
Thank
a lovely
you.
evening.
You
And
too.
I look forward to the conference and answering any questions that may
Yes,
come up between then and whatever you need from me.
absolutely. Hang
Right.
tight for a moment. Thank you
Yeah.
all for being here. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like, and check us out on the link that I just dropped in the chat. And make sure you subscribe as well to our email list, and we're going to be putting a lot of information out there in the coming weeks. Okay,
Thanks, everyone.
thank you. Hang tight, ladies. Okay. It has the delay. I think it's like
Right.
30, seems like 30 to 45 seconds. That was great.